This is Marcus Whitney's audio universe.
Like, you gotta do the work. You gotta show up and just do the work.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday. I was fighting nonstop with Comcast Xfinity yesterday, so I want to apologize for anybody who tuned in and got cut off prematurely. I was able to record the whole episode with David, and I'll export that and get it all edited and put up to the YouTube channel and to the podcast. But for today, I'm really excited about my guest for today. This is someone who I first met, I believe, at the 3686 Entrepreneurship Festival a couple years ago. And you know, like when you're on stage and you look out into a room and you can just like see somebody who is just kind of glowing because they're so excited and they feel like this moment is really magical. And then, you know, she kind of reached out to me and was telling me about this idea that she had. I was like, that's cool. When you go to these conferences, you see all types of people who have ideas and then, you know, summarily never do anything with them. But then I followed her online, and the growth that her and her partner have had in their business, TRILUNA Wellness, has been incredible. The attention to detail of the design is fantastic. I love it. And I just love the message that she has. So I'm really excited to have Ashley Brooke James here today with me, the co-founder of TRILUNA. What's up, Ashley? How you doing?
Hi, thank you so much, Marcus. And I always wondered if you remembered me from that conference because I was really nervous to come up to you. So the fact that you remember that is so great. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I remember all those things. I think they're important. And I was once that first-time entrepreneur at those conferences, looking at people that had more experience. You know, they weren't like larger than life, but when you don't have that experience and you're early in your journey, it feels like they're larger than life. So like, I totally remember that. And I just think, you know, never forget sort of where you came from and, you know, what it was like to be early on. But now you are the person on panels.
Yeah,
Ashley, you are the person talking to other people about what it is to launch a successful business and keep it authentic and make the move from corporate America to being an entrepreneur. So you're on the show to talk about your business, but I think also the philosophy behind your business and why it's so incredibly timely right now, right?
Right. Awesome.
So
well, yeah.
Can you just give a little bit of background on TRILUNA, like you, your partner, for the listeners and the viewers?
Absolutely. Well, TRILUNA Wellness and Events I'm one of the co-founders. My partner, Elizabeth Moore, who is watching as well. We started this as a passion project. Elizabeth and I met in our yoga teacher training. And at the time, I had just left my corporate job and I knew I wanted to open up a wellness company. And she was on the verge of quitting her job and was opening up a wellness company. And our ideas married each other so much. And so we said, instead of being competition, let's be collaborative and come together. It was really important for us also to come together because what we didn't see was a lot of wellness and fitness companies doing a lot of collaborations, especially people of different races. So we were very intentional about coming together and making this something that people had never experienced or seen. TRILUNA is a wellness and events company. We have 3 core services that we specialize in: movement, such as yoga, health coaching, and cooking classes, which we combined into comprehensive wellness workshops, curriculums, and retreats for both corporate and community organizations. So we do everything from, we like to mix, you know, the wellness with the fun. Like, we have an event coming up with Avo at the end of this month. It's called Avocados and Asanas. It's a half yoga class, and then we eat food prepared from Avo. So a big thing about our business is community, because we feel like community is a part of your wellness.
I think another big part of your business is creativity. You know, you all are just even the 3 things that you said that you merged together, and then the way that you go about it and the way that you communicate as a brand. I mean, there's definitely a brand voice that's very consistent. But to me, what I love when I look at your business is how creative it feels. It feels like everything that you and Elizabeth have done, you've like you sat down and you like came up with it. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't see you guys borrowing from other people's stuff, and I love the co-creation aspect of what you do. Is it the Mind Magic Festival?
The Mind Body
Magic Festival. Yeah. You know, that was a big collaboration that you did. You talk about the collaboration you're doing with Avo. You know, what is it about what is it about the act of creating that has allowed you to find this unique lane in the fitness space? So in the wellness space, sorry. You know, so many I have to say fitness professionals. I can't really call them wellness professionals. So many fitness professionals are operating inside of a certain sort of set of confines from a business model perspective, from an engagement perspective. And you all don't have a space per se, right? You don't have like a building. I think it's even like on the bottom of your emails, like no physical location, right? But you do have this community, and it's like this community exists digitally, it exists in person, and you're creating all these things also based on like the moment in time. I remember the messaging that came out from you all when the pandemic hit and we all started being locked down, and it was just, you were maybe one of the first well-being fitness organizations to really be able to deliver a brand new model very quickly. You know, can you talk about like the role of creativity and how that's just, it appears to be fundamental to me. So I'm just like, can you talk about that at all?
Absolutely. Well, before I got into this, I come from 10 years of sales and business development, and Elizabeth has 10 years of marketing and branding. So all of the beautiful things that you see, all straight comes from her. She is a creative genius on that aspect. For me, I just have a huge imagination, and I just am always like, what if we do this and this and this? And she like agrees with it. She's like, yes. But where we got this creativity, where this stemmed from, is when we got into this space, we noticed that, I mean, I've been doing yoga for 10 years, and I can walk into a yoga studio and they say it's for beginners, and it wasn't. Yeah. And so our idea going in was, let's go with a beginner's mentality. A lot of people are afraid of yoga because everybody's in these pretzel moves and standing on their heads, and it scares them. But when you mix, donuts and yoga together, people are going to show up. Or if you say we're going to do yoga and have mimosas after, people are going to show up. So it was like, how do we get creative to really draw people in where they're not so fixated on the yoga, but more excited about the community aspect of it, right? And so we are intentional about, you know, even on our targeting, when we go out and how we're targeting, we make sure that our messaging, if you look at our Instagram, you won't see a lot of advanced yoga poses, us doing all these things, because we didn't want to give off that intimidating factor. Even on my personal page, I try to, when I'm showcasing yoga, I try to do standard basic moves, because I think it starts there. And I think when you get into the advancement, you start to scare people away. So it's just a lot of, first, Liz being a marketing and branding genius, me having an imagination that is just over the top, and then both of us being very focused and intentional about a beginner's mind and creating a space for people who just want to show up as their self and try yoga for the first time without worried about the girl next to her standing on their head.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I also, you're going to find out that I've been watching your branding and your communication the entire time as we keep talking. So there was a point in your business, where it felt like you all really got confident in that beginner like offering, in that welcoming, disarming like offering. You know, did you find, as you were in the very, very early days, you know, like let's go back to the first 6 months of you know, you trying different things. Did you find people who came to you and were like, oh my God, thank you for making something that I feel like I can be at and not be embarrassed? Or because it would seem like, I have to tell you, like, I'm a guy, and I know that like TRILUNA is very female oriented. Like, it's in the name, it's, you know, which is great. But one of the reasons why I like it is because, you know, I'm one of those people who I have lots of things athletically where I'm strong, But flexibility is one of the things where I really have to work at it. I have gotten a lot better, but I have had to work and work and work to be able to access some posts that other people can just sort of jump in. And you're right, like the way that the yoga teacher expresses themselves has so much impact on whether or not I feel encouraged or supported, or I feel like, you know what, I'm just like a complete failure. So I'm just wondering, what were those first 6 months of feedback like for you guys?
They were incredible. I mean, we were having women, and we were targeting different groups that we knew that were looking for this. I mean, there was different Facebook groups that we were in, and women were like, I'm just looking for a basic yoga class that I can just go to and just, because hot yoga, power yoga was being advertised, and you didn't get a lot of beginners or slow flows or restorative yoga, the things that slowed things down. So we were like, okay, we're going to promote this. We're going to put this out there. And then we were very intentional also about the pictures. We made sure that we had women of all races represented, women of all body types represented. And so when people start to see that, they show up and they see like they look around and notice it's not a particular look or body type that's here, and it makes them feel comfortable. And our team is not allowed to talk to each other at events. It's our job to go out and make new friends and introduce other friends to new friends to build community. And so that from the beginning, people are like, I feel like home. I feel like this is something that, I was looking for. And it was important because Liz and I didn't have that, especially me. When I came in, there was not a lot of Black women doing yoga.
Oh yeah.
It was two other, Black teachers that I knew of. And then for Liz, she felt like there was only one body type that was being represented. And so we were, like I said, again, intentional about creating this environment from our marketing, when we talk to people, making sure that people are interacting with people that they normally wouldn't talk to.
Yeah.
And so that was very, very important to us when promoting and when people showed up for us, and make sure that we set that example in that environment.
So another key theme of the TRILUNA brand is this juxtaposition of fitness versus wellness, right? You all are not shy about saying, go grab you a donut. You know what I mean? Like, not shy at all, right? And I think in this moment of time, we talked about it a little bit before the show. This is such a difficult time, okay? And it seems to keep getting more difficult, right? For us here in Nashville, it started with the tornado, right? And then we sort of like went from the tornado to a week later, coronavirus really setting in, and then the lockdown order, and on and on and on. And now, with the protests and everything around police brutality and just the treatment of Black people in this country, period, and really all over the world, what we're seeing. It feels like it's not an easy time to be well. It feels like it's not an easy time to be well. As a leader of a community, how are you navigating that? What are you, I feel like this would be a time to kind of go back to basics and go to the most simple things. What are you telling your community? What are you telling yourself and your partner? And what would you pass on to our listeners and our viewers?
Okay. I will first start out by saying that at the beginning of the quarantine, TRILUNA saw that there was a lot of contents being out there, like, don't gain weight, don't do this, work out, make sure you're doing all of these things. And I feel like that message was completely wrong. We are in a period in our lives that our stress level is at the highest of highs. People are worried about their jobs, their businesses, their children not being in school, will they return to school? And looking good in a bikini is the last thing that you need to be worried about, okay?
Yes.
Let's just keep it 100.
Totally.
What we need to be focused on right now, and it's hard because you get all of these tools, and I think sometimes we overthink it. We have a workshop called meditation for stress management. And one of them, we have this exercise called the circle of life, and I'll make sure that I get it to you.
Okay, great.
But it's just a little check-in that you put these dots on where you feel you're most fulfilled. I mean, it can be your spiritual, your finances, anything, it has different categories. And so the purpose of that exercise is for people to look and see that nothing is perfectly balanced, right?
Right.
And so it's just a reminder to you that it doesn't have to be this circle of balance, but maybe you focus on if, your spiritual side is up right now, maybe that's your full focus right now. Maybe that's what you focus on. And, everybody's travel is down right now,
Yeah.
Everybody's money. But how about you focus on those things that that are filling you up?
Yeah.
I also think people overthink some of the things that bring us peace and give us, a little decompression right now. I think people feel like they have to be walking or running or, working out to feel active. But think about all the home projects that are going on right now. And so how happy people are and how they get lost into those home projects.
Mm-hmm.
You see so many people cooking now and trying all these awesome meals. These are all forms of a meditation or a sense of relief. And I think because it doesn't come packaged in the we automatically think that I'm not doing myself service. So I'm here just to tell people to be more intentional about those things that we're doing right now. Even if it's if you're reading your book, reading a book is a form of release for you because it takes your mind off of the news and everything that's going on around you. So really, the advice that I have for people right now, the things that are bringing you joy right now, whether it's cooking or reading or whatever, pour yourself into those things right now because there's so many distractions. We turn on the TV, we turn on our phone. It's all these distractions for us to be committed to what we think is healthy, right? So find those things that are bringing you relief. My house looks completely different since this whole quarantine. But I enjoy being at home now. I have all these different places in my home that just has this different feel about them. But those things give me release. And I think if we can be more intentional about that, even eating meals at home with our families more, having conversations that are maybe necessarily around what's happening in the world, but just having other conversations. But I think it's really, like you said, it's getting back to the basics of things. And if you were a big workout person, you're just not feeling, motivated. Like I told you, I haven't been doing a lot of yoga during this. I'm just sorry. That's not where my headspace, but I've been doing a lot of walking, a lot of just being outside. I love being outside. And when I'm out there, I don't even listen to music. I just take in the sounds around me and I just dream about the future of TRILUNA. I think if we can be more intentional about the things that are bringing us relief right now and peace, that we could be less concerned about running these 5.2 miles or hitting the gym to lift weights and things. We take that amount of stress off of us.
Yeah, there seems to be a thread of acceptance, right? Accepting ourselves for what we're experiencing and what we're sort of being pulled to do. And if we don't feel like we have the energy to do something, that's okay. Just kind of flow with that and do the thing that you do feel like you've got the energy to do right now. And how do you define wellness? How do you define wellness? I feel like lots of different people have different definitions for it. I mean, do you have a definition?
I don't have a definition, but I do like to think of, the whole mind, body, soul thing didn't just come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is our wellness. When we're taking care of our mind, when we're taking care of our body, and we're taking care of our souls, that is wellness. When we take care of just our bodies, that is just fitness. It's just one area of this three part of taking care of yourself. You have to make sure that our minds are right. I mean, whether that's through, meditation or whatever activity it is, but at the end of the day, no greater exercise is better than our sleep. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to get sleep. We have to be able to rest. Our bodies, everybody is not meant to do boot camps or physical things like that, but finding some form of movement in your body. Like, I'm not a big boot camp person or anything. I'm very competitive, Marcus. So it's really like,
I can tell with your business, and I can tell with the way that you guys call, that's one thing I love, is that you're not afraid to kind of call out, the fitness dudes or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you definitely have an antagonist in your story. You know what I mean? You have an antagonist. You call that antagonist out, which I love. So I could see the competitiveness, but at the same time, it's like you're competing for people to find you're competing on behalf of other people for them to find a true sense of peace. It's almost just like peace within yourself.
Right. Because I feel like the world has like set all these expectations on us to be healthy, but healthy is just our bodies. Nobody's telling you to take care of your mind. Nobody is telling you to face your feelings and sit in those and forgive yourself for those things and be able to move on. Nobody is, all they're so concerned about is what you put in your mouth. Let's have a cheat day. Let's do all of these. And yes, I challenge some of the people in the fitness industry, and some of those guys are some of my really good friends. But I would like for them to not sell wellness as fitness. So like being able to talk through, why are you telling people that they need to do these 50 burpees? Like, what benefit is that going to have to them? And knowing that everybody's body is made up different. Mm-hmm. So not everybody's going to have the same diets or be able to do the same things. So I think we're really big on bio-individuality and people finding what works for them. And I think when you speak to a crowd and telling a crowd that you don't need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you're not really finding out individually who that person is and what that person needs. And I think in wellness and fitness, we need to just take a step back and really look at what we're promoting overall. And if you're promoting fitness, that's completely fine. But there's other parts of wellness that goes with that.
Yeah.
That you need to be providing resources for as well.
What is it like for people inside of the TRILUNA community? I'm not, I'm a voyeur. I get to watch from all the digital stuff, but what's it like for someone who's a part of it, and maybe especially in this era of COVID-19 where a lot of stuff has had to become digital. Like how does it operate? How does it function?
So the whole digital thing, which is great, while we were able to make that big pivot, I just wanted to put this in. Elizabeth and I are very goal-oriented. Every year we come together with our team and we lay out our goals. We have check-ins. We have all of these things. And on our 3-year goal plan was online curriculum. Okay. Because we figured that the only way that we were going to be able to sell on the corporate side is if we put together these online curriculum packages and figure out a way to scale that up. So that was a really big part of our business. But being inside of this community, it's crazy because people are like, we miss you guys, we miss the message. And I think we've been able to create this is because we keep it 100% real. We create spaces for people to talk about their trauma and wellness and health, and how we can better provide resources for them to get through. Elizabeth and I are very, very straightforward. We're not doctors. We're not dietitians. We're health coaches. We're yoga instructors. We're here to provide resources for you and for you to feel comfortable in who you are, because it starts with you. It starts with you feeling comfortable as an individual to be able to grow in those other areas. And I just don't feel like a lot of people are providing spaces where people actually feel comfortable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think especially right now, that's a big challenge. It is a big challenge to have a space where you can be vulnerable. And I think it's really needed right now because we're dealing with some very sensitive topics right now, and they are, for a lot of people, they're bringing up a lot of stuff. They're bringing up a lot of stuff, and having that place where you can go and you can talk and you can let down let down your guard, I think is super important. There needs to be more and more places where that can happen right now.
And yeah. And I think another big part of that is Elizabeth and I and our team, we are very transparent. We don't get on these circles and be like, life is great, everything is da 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 da. We're like, no, stuff is hard. We second year in business. We're trying to stay afloat. We're trying to be good wives. We're trying to be, friends. But it's hard. Okay. It's really, really hard. And I think people like to hear that realness because, you can easily get on my Instagram and be like, oh, she just has this wonderful wellness company. She does yoga and life is great. But it's like, no, like that's what I want you to see.
Right.
And, but there's never been a point in this business in our retreats. You can only imagine our retreats are just this whole weekend of vulnerability and everybody's just pouring things. And that's where it kind of all started, where we learned just to show up and be authentically ourselves. And when we've done that and we've taken it into other companies, even some of our corporate clients, we're just kind of like, can we be real? And it's like, the right clients respect the fact that we're real and they're willing to work with us because they've never had anything like that. But I can definitely tell when we're not someone's cup of tea because they're like, yeah, so.
Could you tone that, whole keeping it real thing down? Can you just
keep it the whole down dog the real, donuts. Maybe. Yeah. We're looking for detox teas and headstands. We're like, we're not doing that.
Let's talk about your podcast. You're excused. I have not actually listened to the podcast, so let's talk about what you and Elizabeth are doing on the podcast.
So the crazy thing is, the podcast was created as you know by following us. Elizabeth and I have some pretty deep content on our Instagram page. We like to talk. We love to talk about what's going on in the world. We have a passion for just everything in the world. And so we like to speak on it. And so obviously it was only right for us to create this space where we could talk straightforward. We do feel like at the beginning we were a little too straightforward because they're like, if people listen to this, we like maybe need to scale it back a little bit. So we were able to talk through that. But the podcast was basically, we talk everything about one of our first podcasts which will be a really good one to listen to now, is I Don't See Me. And it's the story of Elizabeth and I coming together and how I, as a Black woman, didn't see anybody in the yoga industry in Nashville, let alone doing yoga, and her seeing women of the same body images. And then this whole wellness versus fitness thing. Again, we wanted to create a space where we could be completely transparent on how we feel. And that is also growing a business. Like the risk that we've taken. You and I have never talked about this, but I had a very great corporate job that I left to, start this. But that was a lot of risk, and I'm still taking risk. And we're just very transparent about that. And, Elizabeth and I have grown this company organically, and we just like to share those because we feel like our story is a part of our journey. And the more that women or men are able to hear us, then the more they'll understand what TRILUNA is about and why it was started. And an extension of that, this year, in January, we actually started our supper clubs, where we wanted to bring people in person and have these conversations that everybody wants to have right now. We kind of started that back in January. We wanted to create spaces where people could have these hard conversations, so when it came to something like this,
they were ready.
Reliant. Yeah. And so, that the podcast was really about creating a space where we could be really transparent. And then we were like, we want to take this really in the Nashville community. And how do we do this? Obviously, a part of our services are cooking, and we have chefs on the team, and we wanted to highlight a lot of local chefs that are out here doing a lot of things. So we created our supper clubs to be able to do that. So the podcast, I would say the supper clubs are your in-person podcasts with some wonderful guests that we have, which we have to get you on a phone.
I would love to come and do one. Ashley, I just want to say I'm such a huge fan of what you and Elizabeth have put together. This is kind of like what I most care about, right? What I most care about is people being brave, taking the big risks of leaving the cushy corporate job, and the reward that they get from that is their voice. Their full, complete, authentic voice that is so needed in the world. And you find out it's like, you create something like what you've created, and there's a whole community of people that, had you not done it, would be out there by themselves, right? Yeah. And so I just want to thank you for doing that for those people, because we need more healthy people out here. You know what I mean? Yeah. We need more well people out here. The challenges we have in this world right now are going to require my podcast with Danielle McGee. It's like, I love what she said. We need multiple leaders. We're not going to solve this by having one or two or three leaders. We need a ton of leaders, because the problems are everywhere, and we need brave, courageous, healthy people to be able to step up and sort of tackle those problems. And they could be just problems like in their neighborhood, just on their block, you know what I mean? But we need leaders on every block right now. And so, the work that you're doing is helping to make a community of people that could really be impactful in my life in ways I don't already know. So, thank you for doing that. Continue to do that. We'll have to keep you checking back in with the show. I might have to get Elizabeth on here to get her perspective on everything.
Absolutely. I mean, she would love to. Thank you, Marcus. When I think of Black entrepreneurs in Nashville that are doing great things, you were one of the first person that I found out about. Like, you were watching me, I was watching you. And the opportunity that we had to speak on a panel, that was like really big for me. I was like, oh my God. So I just thank you for allowing me the space to come on here and just share my story, share the TRILUNA story. And anytime you want Elizabeth or myself or us together to come back, we definitely will. So thank you for creating this space for me today.
Absolutely. Awesome. Y'all, you definitely have to follow Ashley. You need to follow TRILUNA for sure, but definitely go follow Ashley on Facebook, TRILUNA Wellness, on Instagram, Ab the Yogi with some underscores, and then TRILUNAWellness.com. You got to sign up for their email list. It's fantastic. And as you already saw, they have a great podcast, Your Excuse. Go check that out wherever you get podcasts. My book, Create and Orchestrate, coming out June 30th. It's just 2 weeks from today. It's crazy. I think I get my first copy in the mail today. I'm really excited about it. So anyway, that is coming in 2 weeks, and I can't wait to get that out into the world and in your hands. The podcast, Marcus Whitney's Audio Universe, on every podcast platform possible. It's out there. Just go subscribe and follow me at Marcus Whitney, basically everywhere. That's it. The internet actually cooperated today. Thank you very much, Xfinity. I don't have to scream at you for the next 3 hours. And we will be back on Thursday. I'm taking a break tomorrow because I'm doing a special session with the folks at Nexus Summit, talking about the big healthcare note that I wrote last week. So I'm off tomorrow, but I'm back on Thursday and Friday with another episode of Marcus Whitney Live. Until then, peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Marcus Whitney's Audio